Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Diary of Terraria Full Blind Master Mode Day 4. And I have racked up a great many deaths. So, off stream, I messed around with fishing. And got quite a few potions together, but again, I couldn't figure out the lava. It is what it is. But a guy's turned up. In my base. I've had to keep extending it for these idiots that keep moving into my place and just sort of complaining that there's too many people there. Like, move out, idiots. But there's a fisher guy who's moved in who gives me quests. I did a couple of these quests, but so far he's just give me like more stuff with fishing power. My current guess is that eventually he'll give me something with lava. I'm going to try and go back to that at some point and mess around. But while I was off stream, and again, this is kind of the bummer when I do things off stream, is another guy showed up, a tavern keeper, and he sold me something called an Ethereum mana device. And I don't know what it does, but I bought it and put it in my inventory for the next time we got to stream to show it. So this was actually, although my plan is to do Skeletron and the Queen Bee, I was really curious as to what this thing was. So I put it down inside my base and clicked it, and it said, you need a wide, flat area to do something here. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went off into a new area and sort of flattened it out, and it still didn't work. Flattened it out even more and made it wider, and then it worked. And it opened two portals on either side, and it became like a defense thing of this Ethereum mana crystal that I'd put down, where I had to deal with things, which went fine for like round 1, but immediately got my ass kicked when it got to like round 3, and ranged monsters and little wyvern things started spawning because I just got massively overwhelmed. Now, I tried a couple of times at this and just kept dying. Like, I couldn't see a strategy. I tried to put a roof on the place, but it sort of didn't help because they could travel through walls. And I was getting very confused as to what to do but my brain was telling me, this just feels like a tower defense. So I went back to the Tavern Keeper because I was getting a new currency, these defenders things. And I went back to the Tavern Keeper. Lo and behold, it is a tower defense, which made total sense. And I could buy towers from the guy. Now, I didn't know which ones were any good. There was like a flame burst, a lightning one, a ballista. There was all these kinds of things. So I chose them based on what sounded good. Like ballista shoots arrows. That sounds good for maybe anti-air because it was the air units that were really wrecking me. And the lightning ones did like pulsing damage, which also made a lot of sense to me to be able to deal with those. So I bought a few of those, stuck them down, and killed it pretty much the next try. It actually turned out to be really easy, and there was like a boss at the end. It turned out to be super, super easy. Who knew? If you use the towers and the tower defense, it's actually really, really easy. So I didn't have much trouble with that at that point and managed to defeat it and move on with my life. But then it was time for pretty much what took me the majority of the day is I tried Skeletron, which was really hard. It was really, really hard. So I decided to leave that for now because I could not figure the combination of movement and damage profile in terms of what weapons to use in order to effectively DPS this thing. Its hands were... At first I tried melee. Like, I'd stand in between its arms and melee it from side to side. Then I tried, like, some ranged assault, but it wasn't particularly working. So I tried a number of things that just weren't working out. And I thought, okay, let me go and try the Queen Bee. So I went down to where the Queen Bee was and saw that I can summon the Queen Bee. But it's like indoors. Like, the other bosses I've been able to do outdoor and build, like, a nice open-air arena. But the Queen Bee is different. It's, like, underground. So, commence the digging. I had to dig out a massive, massive area, because the problem... I built, like, half an area, and then fighting it, the problem was the bee charges through you, and it actually... My gear seemed fine enough to take a few hits. But the problem I had is that she kept, like, charging past a wall, and I couldn't hit her with anything, because she was behind a wall. And then she would only be targetable for a few seconds. So, back to the drawing board, doubled the width of the arena to try and keep her in there, and then really started thinking about my weapons. And one of the guys sold a minigun. So I thought, well, I only get a short amount of time while I'm on target with her, so arrows seem like a negative approach. And plus, she kept spawning these little bees. They didn't do much damage, but they just kept stunning you and made it incredibly annoying. So my game plan was, if I get a minigun, maybe because they have low health, is the minigun might just pop them out and just make them a non-issue. So if I do that and then just keep shooting her and just focus on avoiding it more than anything, because she shoots these like darts at you that do tremendous amounts of damage. And she also on like try number 4, it took me many tries to kill the queen bee, is that she got faster and faster and faster. Like, is absolutely rapid by the end of it and just spraying the arena with stuff. So once again, I went full consumables, got everything I needed, and with full consumables and an inferno ring, this boss died so cleanly. It was awesome. Like, absolutely trounced her into the floor and instantly resummoned her again and killed her again. Like, killed her twice. Like, once I figured out the strat, my minigun was great. Inferno Ring shredded all the bees that were chasing me, and she posed no issue. I just had to jump up and down. That was it in order to get her down. Which then meant back to the Skelly boss. It was a full day of, like, boss killing and event killing. I got kind of lucky, but also realized what was going on with the skeleton, is I managed to take down the hands, which then leaves the skeleton just shooting adds at you. And I was trying so many different strats of going far left, far right, kiting him constantly, but he's too fast for that. He's way, way, way too fast for that. He'll catch up to you and get you. And then if you're close and he shoots a skull at you, like, that takes most of your health. Like, it hurts so goddamn much. But almost like while I was messing around, I started jumping around the boss, like in a circle, and it completely nullified the boss. Like, absolutely stopped him dead in his tracks, because he was stood still and I was doing circles around him, so the skulls were always traveling just before my position, and I was keeping this sort of solid radius around it, which then managed to bring it down, and another boss in the bag. Like, so cool. Is like, I feel like we've hit a point where we're really strong, we're feeling good, and we're getting jobs done, you know? We've killed like 3 bosses in the last couple of days and feeling really, really strong. And this opened up the library to me, which turned out into a full-on dungeon. I then spent most of the day exploring this dungeon. I was expecting a boss in here, and I explored probably for 3 hours. I died a lot doing this. I died a hell of a lot. These enemies were definitely a step up. There was tons of chests in there, which was really cool. I had to find these golden keys, which dropped from certain enemies. I think it was the slimes. Then I could open these chests. But I also started finding chests that I couldn't open. They required different types of keys to do something. But what I did find was shadow keys. Now, I remember when our first trip to hell on, like, day 2, is there a shadow chest down there? So that's obviously going to be next on the menu. But I spent the whole day just browsing around the dungeon, exploring every nook and cranny I could until I physically met the end, dying to really weird mobs like nymphs and the groom and the bride that seemingly randomly spawned around areas, just crazy stuff like that. But I really feel confident we've explored every nook and cranny of that dungeon, dealt with its traps. Like, the trap game has gotten really heavy right now. But this dungeon was something else. Like, it was so huge. Like, monumentally huge. But again, in great game style, it's shown where the next stop should be. It's shown me exactly where to be. And I picked up some great stuff like double imps. I now have an imp summon staff. Double of those. Absolutely incredible. I found my new favorite weapon, which is the yo-yo. The yo-yo weapon is extraordinary. But what I did find in there is technology. And it was very much like discovering the Tech-It mod in Minecraft. There's wire, there's teleporters, and I was so thankful to get the teleporter, because traveling on this map to the edges and stuff is a real goddamn hassle and drives me nuts. So immediately I wanted to get the teleporter set up, because I found a teleporter thing at the beginning at the game, this big green one, but it only teleports me to, like, where villagers are. So I don't know if I need to build houses in various areas so that I could teleport to them and move them out or something like that. I'm not sure. But finding different teleporters and buttons and switches, and it also revealed that since the start of the goddamn game, there's been wires and stuff leading to the dart traps and stuff, which have killed me endless amounts of time. And if you have a look, you can see them all. It shows you exactly where they are. It shows you where the pressure plates are and where the buttons are to deactivate them and all sorts of stuff. So that's made my life easier. But I could not get the teleporters to work at all. And I tried for a good half an hour. I put buttons up. I rewired it. I did all sorts of stuff. And then the realization They need to have a wire connecting between both the teleporters. What I expected to happen here, because some of you have played this are like, well, how else did you expect it to work? I expected it to work like other games with teleporters, where you click it and it shows you some choices of where you've got other teleporters. I like wired them at the... Because there was one teleporter that was in the library itself. And so I had a teleporter there and a teleporter in my base. And I was like, maybe it'll give me a choice of where to go, whatever. But no, they need a direct linking wire. So I'm not sure how to utilize this. Either I have to run a wire. I mean, there must be Bluetooth or a satellite dish or something that can send the signal across the map or something like that. Because either I run a wire all the way across the map to various locations and teleporters, which maybe is like a long-term game when I'm feeling more Minecrafty about the whole damn thing, or for now it seems pretty useless as to what I'm going to use it for. I'm sure there's a use, and I'm trying not to forget about it, but I just abandoned it at first, if I'm being honest with you. I'm totally abandoned with it. But next plan is to go to hell, because something I realized, although I moaned about it, I get why it's there. There's on the menu, there's on the main screen, and your inventory's open, there's a big box that shows you achievements. And I moused over it because I was like, what is this box? And it told me about something called the Wall of Flesh. And that seemingly is the next boss to do. And given that I've got shadow keys, hell is our next stop. So that's where we're going.